It's Montessori Monday. I'm Katie Padiak, and each week I break down a Montessori philosophy element for you to better understand a part of Montessori and how you can incorporate that into your home. This week we're talking about observation. If your child is in a Montessori classroom, I'm sure you have heard a lot about observation, or if you are just starting off in your Montessori journey, observation is something that is hugely important. So let's break it down. Montessori was a doctor and a scientist, and her entire education system was built based on her observations of children. So she scientifically observed, and in a scientific observation, you are noting without judgment what is happening in a space. So you're observing a classroom if you're a teacher, a home if you're a parent, and you're looking to see what is happening without interjecting yourself into that environment and without passing judgment on what you're seeing. So Maria Montessori observed, she added variables into her environment that she was creating for the children, and then stepped back and observed again to see how those variables shifted the outcomes. So in a Montessori classroom today, the teachers and the guides are sitting and observing, and a big chunk of their day is just sitting still and watching the children in the classroom. And then they step in and give a lesson to an individual or to a group, and then they step back and observe how that child is using that material that was shown to them. There's so much observation in a Montessori classroom, and even when a teacher's not formally observing and sitting still with a notebook writing notes, they are always listening, watching, and tuning into each individual child and the group as a whole. In the Montessori classroom, those teachers are then using that information they're gathering to know what your child is ready to learn next, what they need some work on, and how to approach them, what their personality is, and how they can interact with them in a more effective way. So in our homes, it's a little different because we can't have that detachment that can happen in a Montessori classroom. We are part of the experiment. We are in it with our child. So it's a little different as a parent, but observation is a huge key to providing what your child needs when they need it. And something that I recommend for parents when we are observing is that even if it's in the middle of making dinner, you're listening to the words your child is saying, you're watching the behavior that they have, and you're also seeing what things they are challenged by. And I think also as parents, we don't usually see something until it becomes an issue. So maybe you are not really tuning in that your child's shoes are too small and you're not checking them. I'm guilty of this often, but they always jump down your hallway, and they're jumping as they're getting ready to go to school or to leave the house. And it's frustrating, and you're like, stop it, quit it, go, what are you doing? Stop jumping. But maybe that is how your child is communicating to you something is wrong and they can't say it. So we're using observations, even if it's not till things are a little bit farther than we would like. We would be ideally love to intervene and get those bigger shoes before they get too tight. But we are making observations all the time. And I think that as your child ages, it becomes easier for you to sit down and actually remove yourself when they are engaged in something and concentrating on something without needing you there. But when you're in that space with them too, you're noting observations of they're really clingy to me today, or they really want to read a lot. You are making observations all the time. And it's really key for you to know what your child is ready for, what your child has grown out of, and the needs that they have. So observation is something that we are all doing as we interact with children. It just may not be as formal as in a Montessori classroom.